I have to make the journey, right, in order to complete the task.
There you
So my
go.
journey, and you know what? I didn't take one drag of my cigarette while I was going down those three stairs.
Well, good, because we wouldn't want you to get
No,
distracted
no, no, no.
and fall down. That's the last thing we need, right?
Yeah, I know. I have to call my doctor.
No, I'm always here for you. I'm always here for you, Al, but I don't think I could pick you up.
Probably not. Not many people can.
And yesterday I started having this like back pain too, so you'd be kind of out of luck.
I would be like, "Hi, I'm down here. Oh, no problem. You feeling okay? Yeah, I'm all right. Just leave me here. I'll be okay.
We'll bring you an umbrella if it rains.
Throw me a Pop Tart. You know."
Yeah. So our guest today is Dr. William Tour. He's another recurring guest,
Yes.
and he's a lot of fun to talk to. Oh, I forgot headphones.
And I'm
We
sure
don't have headphones over here.
and I'm sure out there somewhere in
Thank
the
you.
ether is your mom.
Yes, my mom. Hi, Mom.
So
And my sister. Hi, Heather.
Yeah.
And of course, Dr. Tour, my dad.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been here before.
You have been here before. Good morning. How are you doing?
Hey, fine. How are you?
Oh, that works for me.
Hi, Al.
Hi. Good morning, Dr. Tour. How are you doing today, man?
Oh, good. Thanks.
I'm glad to hear
Everything's
that.
good.
I'm glad. To
Yeah,
hear
he's
Very,
a, he's a
very
little
hot
bit worried
here.
because we don't have a subject for today.
Well, I was thinking, just as a public service announcement, that unless you're about, I don't know, 1,000, maybe 1,500 pounds,
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't be taking ivermectin. That's made
For cattle?
For livestock.
That's a good thought.
And if you're 1,000 to 1,500 pounds, COVID's probably one of your
That's the least of your worries.
probably the least of your
Yeah.
worries. Yeah.
If you're not the size of a cow, then you probably don't want to take the livestock version of the COVID.
And there's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of that. We shared an article earlier about Mississippi. The number one subject of calls to the Poison Control Center have been people who have basically overdosed on livestock antiparasitics.
Yeah. You definitely
Really?
wouldn't have worse.
Yeah. It's almost epidemic there. I mean, a lot of the states in the southern part of the United States have really, really low vaccination percentages. They're in the 30 percentiles, where the national average is somewhere in the 70s.
Well, I read a comment online yesterday
Why would you do that?
that wasn't the comment, but that was my answer. But no, they said their actual doctor, and I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe it was a veterinarian. I don't know, but their doctor recommended they get the livestock ivermectin because you can get it from the pharmacy as if without a prescription. Somebody else said I tried that, but they said I need a prescription for
Is
my
that
vet.
the one who said you can go down to Tractor Supply?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
I read that.
Can
Yeah.
you believe that?
I wonder, yeah, oh no, I've certainly heard that. The other is Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine. So I guess you could go to the agricultural store and say my cow has lupus. I'm not sure if that would work.
That's
Can cows get lupus?
well, if you believe that, if you're a doctor and you believe that it's okay to take livestock medication, maybe you believe that cows can get lupus.
I guess if
Well, this could be.
yeah. But yeah, that's one of the things that's happening right now is massive. There's a lot of belief that the vaccine is experimental and that ivermectin in high doses is not experimental. So we don't have a whole lot of experience with ivermectin in high doses.
No, I don't believe.
No.
I don't believe that's out there. Yeah.
We do know that high doses can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, seizures, death.
Death
Death is a
always
big
on
one.
that.
Yeah. But then again, they look up all the side effects of the vaccine, and you'll get a lot of the same things. But you get it for hydroxychloroquine. You basically get the same side effects for every single medication because every single side effect is reported, whether it has anything to do with it or not.
Well, true, for any medication for that matter. Well, I know that Florida does have a stock of hydroxychloroquine on hand. But we're really very busy. I'm on staff at 4 hospitals, and every single one is full. No elective surgeries at the 4 we're in anyway.
Right, and it sounds like everybody's running out now to get their vaccines too because they're getting
Well,
a little
this is
bit
a
worried.
good thing. I think the coincidence of maybe CDC approval for Pfizer to begin with, and perhaps the fear factor will help us certainly in this state, because we do have quite a few people.
Well, now to come into Panama and to go from province to province, especially from Chiriquí, if you have your vaccine, you don't need to have a COVID test. But they're not accepting necessarily if the people that ran out and went to the States to go get their vaccines, they're not going to certify them because they don't know if that vaccine card is legit or not. So anybody that went outside the country to get their vaccines will not get a certification from MINSA that they're actually fully vaccinated.
Oh my, that poses a dilemma, doesn't it?
It does for travelers, especially if they're going from province to province or coming into Panama. They'll need to get their COVID test instead of, just coming in with your vaccine passport thingy. They don't want to call it a passport. I'm sorry. Vaccine card. Then they have to provide multiple antigen tests.
Yeah, and that's causing a lot of stress.
Well, it's expensive too because I couldn't find a free place to get my antigen test when I came back from the States.
Yeah, neither could they.
And I had to pay $100.
Yeah.
So it's expensive, and then if it doesn't cover you the 3 days, 72 hours, then you have to repeat it at your own expense at the airport.
Yeah. Well, Day ended up having to get. She got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which, by the way, was successfully uploaded to the Panama
Right.
thing.
They'll upload it.
But she ended up having to get that and 3 COVID tests.
Right.
So that was $400 and something.
Right.
Wow.
Right there.
Expensive.
Yeah.
But at least it's tracking for the day or the following several days after that.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
New Zealand, again, because of the Auckland problem with one patient, has not draconian, but I mean, they've kept their caseload so low with the tracking. I believe they closed New Zealand for 3 days and Auckland for a week. Australia, because of Sydney, did the same thing again in New South Wales. Iceland's having a resurgence, but again, they've only lost 40 people and 39 until about 3 weeks ago, and they had one more. Yesterday, they had only 6 people with COVID in Reykjavik in the hospital.
Wow.
So, but we're an unruly group here, I think. But hopefully, people will start getting immunized for those reasons.
There's a lot of people that will. There's just a minority, a very, very vocal minority that's not getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
I suspect a lot of those people that are very vocal against it may have already gotten their vaccines as well.
Yeah.
Despite being anti-vaccine. And a lot of still saying that it's not actually a vaccine, that it's an experimental, I don't know, what are they calling it? They're not calling it a vaccine. They say a vaccine prevents 100%.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of misunderstanding on what a
Yeah.
vaccine does. Here's something funny. So I'm reading this off of, I guess because WebMD is what the first thing that came up. It said, get medical help for serious side effects, which might include rash, itching, swelling, especially of the face, tongue, and throat, severe dizziness, trouble breathing, anaphylactic shock, stroke, heart attack, and death. Guess what drug that's for?
Is not the vaccine, right?
It's toothpaste.
Really? Wow.
What made you look up toothpaste?
Because I just try to find something that just about everybody uses every day of their life that has similar warnings to what people are posting as side effects for the vaccine.
I know, it's crazy the amount of side effects for any
And
given
you could look up
aspirin,
eye drops, whatever. Yeah, it's going to be
any over the counter thing,
marriage, just
Marriage.
anything really.
Side effects of marriage. Shall I ask Day?
Not today.
Not today. What did you do?
I tell you, but
No, don't tell me. You get us both into trouble.
really. But yeah, it's really,
Yeah, well,
it's the amount of misinformation out there is just it seems to be growing, and it's growing in very specific areas. And people are consistently focusing on the fact that it's what they believe to be experimental, or it's unapproved by the FDA when it actually is approved by the FDA. It's just approved for emergency. And Pfizer,
Yeah.
the Pfizer vaccine is about to be their full approval is imminent.
Yeah.
So I don't know what excuse or what reason.
What'll be after that?
After that.
Yeah, the nanobots probably.
Probably nanobots.
Yeah.
But we sure hope that'll help.
I think this vaccine has been one of the most widely studied, most intensely studied vaccines in the history of vaccines.
Well, people are like, well, it's only been a couple, it was pushed through rapidly. There were no clinical trials, there were no animal trials, there were no human trials. But what, I think is being left out is the work on developing a vaccine for the SARS coronavirus started 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's been so much work done on this. There have been clinical trials over the last couple of decades.
They haven't been able to get any to stick. They haven't been able to get any that are very effective.
Yeah.
They really scored on this because they found an effective way to prevent or help prevent coronavirus, or at least serious symptoms of coronavirus.
But 90% of the work had been done already coming into this. Mm-hmm. It's like you've already got you've spent 3 years learning how to drive, and then you go take your driving test and you pass it, and then people will think, well, you just walked in and got in a car and took a driving test, so I don't want to be in the car with you, and you neglecting the fact that you've been practicing for 3 years. So, it's all about perspective. If you understand how long the research and development into a coronavirus SARS vaccine has been in place, you got a better perspective of that timeline. It's not just been 3 months or 6 months or
right. It's been years and years,
been decades.
Yeah.
Right.
Thought I'd throw that out there.
And if you believe data, you can go onto a CDC website. They've got the VAERS program, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. They've got CISA, which is the Clinical Immunization Safety Assessment Program. There are a lot of programs.
Yeah, that's the problem because they kind of use it.
People are starting to doubt the CDC, though, because they appear to flip-flop, but they're going with data and
they have to go with results. Science
Well, yeah.
is not a static thing. Science is a fluid thing.
If nothing ever changes in science, it's no longer science. That the whole point of science is to prove itself, itself, not wrong, but to develop new information and change.
Challenge current beliefs.
It's also the CDC website is a sprawling conglomeration of so much information. And
I like that sprawling.
And it is, if you know how to actually do research, it's a very good source. But it's very easy to take a paragraph or two out of context and say, okay, look, the CDC says that you should be using ivermectin, or you should be using hydroxychloroquine, or you should be shoving a blue light up your ass, whatever. You could take it out of context, and then all of a sudden you get some guy in a pair of scrubs and a stethoscope on a YouTube video, making the whole video out of these two little paragraphs, and now that's got 1 million, 2 million, 3 million hits, and now you've got widespread misinformation from unreliable or a source that is not complete, such as it is.
Yeah, I get a lot of those videos sent to me by just a few specific people, or posted, or forwarded on to me. Sometimes I just don't have time anymore. I can only take serious questions, don't be passive aggressive and say you're on the defense about getting the vaccine. If you're serious, yes, you can send me a question. But if you're just there to try and, waste my time, Please don't. You will get blocked.
You know, and there's there's actual people who could really benefit from contacting you with legitimate medical problems, and if you're spending your time responding to this stuff, then there might be
Right.
someone out there who's not going to get the benefit of the
Exactly. None of us likes to have our time wasted. Like I told certain people that have done this to me, no matter what I say, it's not going to change your mind. No matter what I put here, you're not going to believe it.
You've already made your mind up.
You've already made your mind up. And, they wear it like a badge of honor that I blocked them. It's not a badge of honor. You should feel embarrassed that I finally had to block you because you're sending me ridiculous things.
See how that works?
See how that works?
Yeah, see how that works. Well, how about the general population of Bukete? Are they pretty well vaccinated now?
I think in Chiriquí, the last thing I read was the amount of vaccines, and I looked up the population of Chiriquí. At least 50% of this province have been vaccinated.
Yeah.
Whether it's fully or whether it's their first dose, they've been vaccinated. So that's a big plus for us.
That's a good start. That's
a
great.
good start, yeah. So, hi, Wendy.
She gets jealous when we're speaking. Let me try to do something.
You're fine. Hi, Wendy. Be good, Wendy.
Who's the good
So-
girl?
Who's a good girl?
Speaking about questions, this is maybe not off topic. We were talking before. What might be kind of fun is to, if people would lose reluctance, to have questions and answers maybe pre-sent about other medical problems. It
Yeah,
might be
we
kind
can
of
set
fun.
up another day with you to come on the
Yeah.
show, either with or without Al. He's usually available.
Oh, hopefully with Al.
Yes,
But-
Usually available.
Usually available. Set something up with the three of us and just do a question and answer session.
And not to second guess anyone, because you've got great docs there. But if they, often patients will leave my office and then I'll get a phone call. What did you really mean? Or what else? What about this or that? And I think everyone's like, a lot of people are like
Oh yeah,
that.
I've gotten those
And-
questions. I'm pretty
And
accessible
it's
to my
not to
patients.
second guess, but some people worry and perhaps just general information about a specific thing that's on their mind
Yeah.
would be kind of fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Sometimes it backfires on me, you say too much
Oh,
and then
sure.
they get even more worried.
Well, also you've got a lot of people that they try to self-diagnose using
Dr. Google.
Dr. Google, and there's a lot of good information out there. I find the website for the Mayo Clinic is very reliable. The
Oh, that's a-
website for the National
That's a great one.
Yeah, the National Institute for Health. I mean, there's, but if you don't have the diagnostic skills to take that information and apply it in a scientifically medical setting, you're just basically searching on Google. I mean, I got a stomach ache and I got this sharp pain in my side. And maybe I must have liver cancer or pancreatic cancer. And it's always
Or it's my kidneys hurt.
yeah,
Well, it's always the worst case scenario. That's
it's
right.
always the worst case.
Well,
scenario.
tumor is the first thing that always comes up on Dr. Google.
Yeah.
I've got a headache. You have a brain
You have
tumor.
a brain tumor. Yeah, I know, right?
Or a
You know.
brain bleed or
Now,
this or
you know,
that.
and
but-
if you've got, if you've got something that you've experienced before, over and over again, it's possible, that it could be the same thing, but still, you should just go to your doctor. There's very few instances, like with me, for example. I've had 7 kidney stones. I know when I have a kidney stone.
yeah.
But if
I tend to believe patients like that. Yeah.
But if I've got a persistent headache, or if I've got something, I've had headaches all my life. It's not a tumor. I need to go see someone, and it might just be doc. You say, well, just take some ibuprofen. Or it might be, hey, this is an unusual thing. We need to look further. But self-diagnosing over the internet,
Yeah.
it just never really works out well.
I mean, just a regular headache is a regular headache. Normally, you don't have to worry about it. But if, like I was talking about with Dr. Tour earlier, that if you have the worst headache you've ever had in your life, and this is not a normal thing for you,
Yeah,
then you should get it checked out.
probably should. Yeah, but you're diagnosing
No,
over the. It's like trying to diagnose your car. repair over the web. It's always, you need a new transmission, replace the motor, and it turns out to be a spark plug. It's like,
it's a cracked block. No, it's a spark plug.
Well, we're probably getting 10 calls a day about people worried about COVID. Yesterday, Palm Beach County, 1,500 students went home, with positive tests, and 3,500 are out. The thing is, in quarantine, the problem is there's no choice. There's no distant learning in this county. So they're going to be out for the duration.
Well, they lowered the distancing for school kids here. We're not having in-person schooling yet. It's coming soon. They're going to only require 3 feet of distancing. But of course, here they're going to be wearing masks.
Right. Well, I think here, hopefully, the majority will. We have people defying our current governor.
Right. Well, you're allowed to. We'll end up in jail here.
Well, yeah, that won't happen here, but I think people hopefully will use common sense, the majority.
Wendy, where's your monkey? Go get your monkey. She has a monkey toy that she likes. It's a squeaky toy.
And Wendy's like, who's? It's a disembodied voice, but they know me.
Yeah. She's a sweet dog.
Oh, yeah. Well, what are you seeing besides, what are you seeing in an average day right now? You've sent me some wonderful case reports, but...
Strep throat is big right now. Anxiety and insomnia are big right now. Out of control blood pressure and out of control blood sugar are big right now. Just those basic things. Allergies. We're having a lot of allergies. It's allergy season all year round here. I don't know what's going on, but all of us allergy sufferers are suffering extra these past couple of weeks.
Right. We've had a very brisk allergy season here. We've had a lot of rain, and that promotes growth. And so in the fall, last fall, we had a lot of rain, as we are right now, in the latter part of the summer. So a lot of tree growth. So we anticipated a heavy tree season, and it came to fruition, you might say. So people are
I see what you did there.
We see that you did there. Try to sneak that one past.
Got to work on the light trees, though.
Yeah, got to work on the light
really
trees.
Difficult moving the heavy trees.
The heavy trees are just too heavy.
It happens every time, we go back to the States. Now, this mainly affects Day. She's got a lower immune system, a more compromised immune system, but she'll go to the States, like Georgia, for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And usually about 5 or 6 days in, obviously there's pollens there that are different from here.
Right.
And she'll get hit with a massive allergy attack.
And then get sinusitis.
Yeah. But by the time the trip's over, she's acclimated.
Yeah.
Right? But then she comes back to Panama.
And boom.
She's sick for a week because now, it's back to the pollens and to the things that are here. And there's a lot of people traveling.
Yeah.
More so than I think
a year ago.
And, people that normally would travel during this time of the year, it's the rainy season, more people travel here. But there's also people that had plans to travel last year that didn't. So you got them with probably a good, 30, 40%, maybe more people traveling. And when they come back here, either they come back here and they're getting hit with the allergens here, or it's a short trip and they're still suffering from what they picked up there.
Yeah.
I'm not an allergist, but that's that's happened to me when I go back.
Well, certainly a practical hint might be, and we see that a lot. We have a lot of people who live here, but then have a cabin up in Georgia or North Carolina. Now, there is an advantage of knowing what you're allergic to, because you can go onto a website, and if you're going to one of the United States, you look at pollen.com, put in the zip code of Atlanta, Georgia, and you'll find out, what the pollen is. But if you always consistently go back in August, well, certainly ragweed is super high. But even if you don't know what it is, I think perhaps a bit of preventive medicine, if you can get a nose spray and use something like a Nasocort, and at least 3 or 4 days before your trip, start an antihistamine, that might preclude a big problem when you get there.
I think most of us
And
allergy sufferers are already pre-medicated.
Oh, look, I'm on
uh-huh.
pollen.com. That's actually a really cool website.
Oh,
Look,
it's
it
a
says I
very
have a
nice one.
tumor. No, sorry.
Now, is this an
No,
official
it's
CDC site, pollen.com? Is it? Who runs this site?
no. There is a national network of pollen counters, and so if you look at a zip code, there's gonna be a pollen counter somewhere within 100 kilometers of that zip code, and you'll find out exactly what's out there at any time. Right now, it's grass, it's ragweed, we're pollinating nettle, and it won't tell you about mold.
Congratulations. How's that nettle going?
Nettle was bad this week, um, but
And it
it doesn't tell
stings.
you about mold. But you can intuit when it's raining, there's mold in the air. When the rain
Yeah.
stops, a little spores form, and if you're mold allergic. Now, if you can get the nasal sprays without great cost there, I know they're expensive there. It takes about a week to kick in. And if you took a couple of squirts in each nostril a week before you took off, plus your antihistamine just before you get there, you might do a lot better. We certainly see that with people that go state to state but aren't having a problem, particularly in the place they're in now, but they anticipate a problem where they're going.
And that
So just a thought.
and that annoying. I thought I shut that off. No ahead. I don't know who unknown is. I'm sorry, but I'm in the middle of the show right now. Unknown. Yes, I get an unknown. You might want to try calling back later. But but now, yeah, with the pollens, those are really affecting people right now, and you can actually see the pollen. You'll see it on top of the water, the stagnant water, as like a kind of a yellow or green film. And that's how you know that there's heavy pollination going on. So if you're suffering from allergies and you know you've got allergies, go ahead and start taking your allergy medicine. Take your nasal spray. You can get nasal spray here pretty easily. It's not cheap, but it will help.
That's actually one of the things that I'm going to be looking for when I go to the pharmacy later.
Yeah.
I have saline, which
Right.
doesn't really do anything for me. So I was looking for the Panamanian equivalent of like Afrin or something that's got some kick to it, you know?
Don't use Afrin. Afrin is bad.
Oh, I see. See, this is why, you know.
The problem with Afrin is that you can use it and it will open up your nasal passages. It's not treating the problem. It's just kind of shrinking your blood vessels in your nose so that you can breathe better, but it's not curing the problem. You need a topical steroid in your nose to cure the problem. So I'd recommend like an Avamis spray, which has a cortisone in it, or a Nasacort spray, which also has a steroid in it.
I think you'll need to text that to me.
Here,
Because,
I'm back on, I think. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We can hear you now.
Oh, great. I just stepped outside. So,
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's on our end that is the signal's going, or if it's on your end, but I have a feeling that Wendy was pulling the plug on you. She says you're not paying enough attention to her.
well, it's mighty hot out here. It's about 95.
Yeah, it's really getting warm now. It's what,
yeah.
75
it's about, just creeping up to 80.
already?
Yeah.
That's
Wow. But we still feel it a little bit cooler. I mean, when I went for the walk this morning, the hike, we were at 91% humidity.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
Oh.
that's... No.
But it was only 62 degrees.
Well,
heavens.
that's right. You're a little higher.
A little higher up there,
the
yeah.
hill there, yeah.
Yeah. Do a nice climb up the hill, go up towards the coffee farms up there.
Very nice.
Wow. Must be beautiful.
It is. It's quite the hike. And my lungs are still not accustomed to it. So,
Yeah.
well, my legs can carry me. It's just my lungs can't.
Well, yeah. I've both my legs and my lungs have issues there, so you know.
That's right. So,
Well,
yeah.
How about asthma? Have you been seeing very much asthma or COPD lately?
I've seen some asthma in the clinic. Not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of crises going on. I've seen some allergic reactions. I've seen some anaphylactic type reactions also, of different body parts, and had to treat them with systemic steroids. But other than that, people seem to be behaving more because they're not going out as much.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think that's helping us. Also, wearing masks certainly helps outside. If
Yeah.
you've got asthma and you're allergic, the pollen is at least filtered to some extent, you know.
Gastrointestinal issues are a big thing right now. You know, you're not popular until you get that explosive diarrhea going on. Apparently,
It's always fun.
yeah, it's been going around. It's been going around. So wash your hands more.
Well, yeah, I know you had to mobilize a lot of plumbers. I think you were telling me there. Was that the wrong call?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Ask Al. The plumbing, how's your plumbing going? I'm not saying that you've got explosive diarrhea or anything. Just your plumbing was having a problem.
Well, I'm on day 2 of the standard Panamanian anti-parasitic, and always a good form of fun when you send a name to your folks in the States who don't understand how the letter I is pronounced in Panama. So it's an anti-parasitic called No Deek. But everyone likes to call it No Dick. And a lot of guys don't want to take a pill that's named No Dick.
Is that why they won't take it? Is that why
I ain't putting this in me.
Is that why they look at me when I prescribe it?
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
It's funny.
I'll have to start using Paramix now.
Really?
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Or just use the generic name for it. But yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
I don't know. The generic name for it is really long, though.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
as a guy, you'd like to have something that has a long name rather than No Dick. Boy, how the show has gone sideways.
It has. Continuing on. It's used to be a family.
It's a tumor.
It's used to be a family show, but.
I ruin everything. That's okay.
But then I decided to invite Al on, and
Oh my gosh.
and we thought we'd have some fun instead of a serious show today.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, you know, but there has been, you know, from what look, if social media is a gauge for anything accurate, that's a miracle in itself. But maybe there's been less of parasites here because of all the ivermectin.
The ivermectin. Yeah, I was talking to a pharmacist down in David. They say they just cannot keep ivermectin in stock.
Yeah, none of the pharmacies here. There's a couple of them still have a little bit, but you know, $30 a box as opposed to 10 times that in the States. It's just flying off the shelves.
And it makes my life difficult because I get patients with like scabies or a parasite that, you know, ivermectin will work right away with just the one dose.
Yeah.
And they can't get it.
No.
So
Right.
scabies is a very annoying, very itchy rash caused by a little bug under the skin, and people want to get rid of that. And if there's no medication out there for it, then I can't help them get rid of it. So please leave ivermectin for the people that need it.
Well, look, the hydrochloroquine has been used as an anti-malarial, right? As a medication for malaria.
Right, and I haven't really seen too many cases of malaria recently.
Yeah, but there are places I'm imagining in the world where malaria is still a problem, and I bet good money if you did some research, you'd see that they were having a problem getting.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
getting it. And there's another one out there that was commonly used for lupus.
Uh,
I can't remember what.
besides the ivermectin?
Yeah.
No,
Or the
for
hydroxy, I mean?
lupus, hydroxy.
Hydroxy,
Yeah,
That's
Plaquenil.
there
Plaquenil.
was another problem for a while there. People weren't able to get their lupus medication. So.
No,
Yeah.
I had that with my patients, with our lupus patients. Yeah. Well, you know, malaria is still a huge worldwide problem. And over 22 million active cases as we speak right now. And I think the problem with malaria, and it certainly exists I don't know. When you look at the Mensa data, malaria is still there along with dengue in Panama, right?
Yeah, it is. And in fact, cases of dengue had gone up within the past year, but you don't really hear about them because everything is COVID, COVID, COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right. Well, the problem with malaria is World Health Organization, in the case of the Americas, PAHO, Pan American Health Organization, was subsidizing chloroquine, which you can get over the counter,
right.
and they have little booster packs and so forth. But most of the malaria is resistant to chloroquine. So now there's mefloquine, but that might be $10 to $11 for one. And so malaria continues to be a huge problem, whether it's in West Africa or Southeast Asia or the Americas. It's a problem.
It
And,
is.
Gates
Yeah.
is helping tremendously. Walter Reed's still doing a lot of research on resistant malaria. So it's a biggie.
Right. It's, I mean, like you said, there is still malaria in the area over here in Panama. I'm not sure how many cases we have had recently because it's harder to find that kind of information, but it does make it a challenge to treat the patients that have malaria or have other diseases that rely on hydroxychloroquine, that rely on ivermectin, um, taken by people when it's not even a proven drug to fight COVID. They're still studying it. They still haven't had any, breakthroughs with it. They don't have enough information, but it's not going to prevent you from getting COVID.
No, and there's a lot of medications out there that have legitimate off uses for.
Yeah.
Right. Example would be I take gabapentin for my neuropathy.
Mm-hmm.
That was developed as an anti-epileptic,
Right.
but it has been approved for use with people that have neuropathy.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, no, those repurposed drugs.
Yeah.
Sure, there are a lot, I think.
There are.
But-
And maybe one day they'll find antiviral effects against COVID with ivermectin, but it's not going to prevent you from getting COVID. So get your shot anyway.
No, I think that's the message right now, don't you?
Yeah. I've had way too
we
many
see-
patients end up in the hospital that say it's impossible that they had COVID because they were taking ivermectin or they were taking hydroxychloroquine plus zinc plus vitamin D plus all this other stuff. It's
Right.
not a foolproof recipe.
No. And it's not an approved off. I mean, there are some drugs that were developed for one thing and are marketed for Viagra, right? For hypertension. It was developed for hypertension,
right.
for high blood pressure, and
Viagra, Cialis.
they discovered it had other
and they still
uses.
try it. They still experiment with the sildenafil, which is the Viagra,
Yeah.
for other purposes. It's not just an ED drug.
But I'm struggling to figure out though how. I mean, we know how hydroxychloroquine got popular. That was a political thing. But the ivermectin, how did that end up being
It's
widely seen as a preventative?
Well, scientists were experimenting with it because it does seem to have some kind of antiviral properties against other viruses. I haven't done a whole lot of research on it to find out which viruses, but apparently it's just, they were playing around with it and discovered possibly it could have an antiviral effect, maybe weaken the
So
cell
you're
wall.
looking at something that maybe possibly could be. You never know. But
And you're relying on
but-
to prevent.
But you're concerned about a vaccine that's been approved by the FDA for
Right.
emergency use as that being the experimental
Right.
drug, when the actual popular ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, all that that's actually more experimental than
Right, because the dose that you need is much higher than you would use for the on-label use. The off-label use, you would need a higher concentration, and of course that causes different problems,
Right.
different side effects, liver problems, and that kind of thing.
Plus, the ingredients in the livestock one have properties that were never meant to be ingested by humans,
Right, the livestock one, yeah, you shouldn't.
unless you're 1,500 pounds.
So it says we do have an outbreak of malaria, as Dr. Tour was telling us. according to our Ministry of Health, that we've had an increase of malaria in the country since the beginning of 2021. 1,506 malaria cases have been reported through the end of May, with East Panama reporting the most cases at 888, and then Gunayala with 344, and then, of course, Darien, 193 cases. So it is out there, and it does require treatment, and if there's none out there, then, those poor patients are suffering.
Right.
Are you still finding a lot of your patients are asking you about ivermectin and about hydroxychloroquine?
Oh, sure. I certainly have a lot that are. I've got 14 I'm following active COVID, and not one of them has had the vaccine. We have two a husband and wife that just went into the hospital. But none of them had the vaccine. We see breakthrough, but not that much, and it's generally mild.
Right. There are the cases that are not mild, and they're usually patients that are older, have, other health issues as well, and other things going on. It's not just, someone in their 50s with low risk that has the vaccine probably won't end up in the hospital with COVID if they happen to get a breakthrough case. Yeah. But an elderly person who maybe doesn't have the full benefit of the vaccine working for them because of their immune system is more likely to get very sick despite having the vaccine.
Well, right. No, exactly. And the VAERS data will tell you the numbers that have been reported in that. But when you compare, 5,000 hospitalizations with fully vaccinated to 160-something million people fully vaccinated, it's a tiny, tiny percent.
Right, and I don't really mind having that third arm. I mean, it's been working out great for me.
I was kind of hoping for an eye in the back of my head.
That would have been handy. But you didn't get the right one. Didn't you have to get the Johnson & Johnson?
Yeah, I got the AstraZeneca, so I think I might be stuck with
a tail.
A tail, yeah. I think the tail is that one. At this point, even an extra finger would come in handy, but
not that finger, Al. Put that away.
Well, sometimes you just want to do that twice to someone, and it's less work just having to raise your hand one time. Right?
There you go. That road rage again.
Oh, me never. No, never. Former New York City taxi driver. Me, never. I never get mad at anyone on the road.
Is there anything you haven't done?
Won the lottery.
No, okay.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Well, I'm sure if you put your mind to it, you could do it. You've done everything else.
I'm sure there's an algorithm out there that I could figure out, but
I don't know. My Uncle Ted, he tried to figure one out. He used to keep track of all the numbers and the probabilities that the next numbers would come up, and they would play those numbers. Unfortunately, there's just too many combinations of numbers.
There's one day back in the late 80s in Florida. I was living in Broward County. And yes,
I'm sorry.
I know. It was bad. And I hit 3 numbers on a scratch off.
Wow.
And it was like $2,800, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And then I sat down with my, actually at the time, my girlfriend. I was between wives.
I
was between wives, and she said, "Well, that's really cool. How long you been playing that number?" And at that point, I realized I've probably spent over the 6 or 7 years I lived there about $4,000, $5,000 in lottery tickets. So I really didn't win $2,800. I just got about half my money back.
Well, there you go. Well, at least you got half of it back. Most people aren't that lucky.
And then I had to send half of it to my ex-wife. And the stupid thing is the number I played was her birthday.
Oh.
There's something so wrong with that. But I digress.
Wait, what were we talking about? Oh, squirrel.
Shiny.
Well, we're running out of time. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, and I hope you've enjoyed being on the show with us, the Alan Shannon Show. I mean, talking with your doctor.
Talking with your doctors?
Doctors,
show,
you
right?
are a doctor, yeah, but wrong kind.
Not that kind of doctor.
Yeah, what is it, like metaphysics?
Metaphysics,
Metaphysics,
the most useless degree on the planet.
Yeah, what can you do with metaphysics?
Well, you could be an adjunct professor for about $7,000 a year. Yeah, there you go. 137 years of that degree. The degree
You
pays
might
for
even be able
itself,
to
right? Yeah.
buy dinner every once in a while. Yeah. So, anyways, I would like to thank Bolivar, our engineer, for today. He's been on top of things, trying to keep this show running smoothly. We've had a couple of little glitches here and there, but it's been all good. I'd like to thank Dr. Tour again for giving us his wonderful knowledge. You're always welcome to come on with us and talk about whatever comes up,
Yeah, just,
up in allergy world or COVID world or
riffing with your doctor.
There you go. I'd like to thank Al Stefanelli for helping me out today.
Always.
It's been a lot of fun. And I'd like to thank all of you. Oh, I forgot Veronica again. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. And we'll see you next weekend at 10 a.m. on Talking with Your Doctor. I will have Amy Saunders on.
Yes.
She'll be talking about her new business. So we will see you then. Everyone have a great weekend.